Sakotsupiapstupitakiokak. Aktitina ina kumukinani kanini titapiokak. Aktas suksumstakinani okani udastutsimmi. Wani udabastutsimmiokak. Okak spumstatak natwaptapikt patpiopaiokak. Akna suka piokti damidu dohbinana suka bini tu ikaktsana iti damidu iknwaka isbinan. Aokimmapi pitatak. Ayokak nabinatu siokak. So in this language, you know, being an ancient language, what we subsequently now call the Blackfoot, it's a long story. It's not the real name, but that's what they call the ancestral people of this land. The language I speak comes from this land. Interestingly enough, you know, the work that I do is really specifically is assisting with initiatives when it comes to the TRC, the Truth and Reconciliation Commission's calls to action. What we do is really assisting people to realize how to implement and how to understand those calls to action, how we implement those actions into the work that we do, basically to ensuring that we can actually understand, but more importantly is that we actually provide people with correct information. So I hear there's Google people here, right? Interestingly enough, I'm just going to throw you under the, throw you in front of the bus. But interestingly enough, you know, a lot of the challenges myself also as an educator, when we're thinking about, when we say in our language, Nitsitapi, we were referring to Indigenous people. What is really interesting is that when you typed in Google, why do Indigenous people, why they're alcoholics? Why are they violent? Why did they get everything free? Those were the list of things people searched for. So there was a lot of assumptions and, of course, stereotypes about who Indigenous people are. So when I would go, it frustrated me because, like, there's way more about us than the assumption. I want to encourage, and I'm always fascinated with technology, and I'm certain there's opportunities to actually broaden information, right? And be able to help people with really interesting tools. I'm encouraged by new technology. I try to stay away from conspiracy theories about AI, right? But I understand it. Myself as an instructor, we have to consider it as a tool at the same time, trying to encourage our students, you know, that plagiarism still can come in the form of AI, right? So I want to be able to say, to encourage, is that there's an opportunity as actually to learn from, you know, the Indigenous people. Because the assumptions about Indigenous people are completely incorrect. These people have been in this land for thousands of years. There's many different methods, ways of physics and mathematics, their own type of engineering and technology that they employed to survive within these lands. A lot of things that we enjoy today are because of the Indigenous people, right? So we can forget that. I want to be able to encourage you bright and incredibly amazing people is to kind of consider seeking truth. There's a lot of people in this country that can assist you with that. Last thing I want to say is that one thing we want to encourage is not assuming that every one of the 630 plus different Indigenous nations in this country, they're not the same. Every community is fairly different, speak differently, have different customs, practices, knowledge systems. So I want to encourage, be aware of what pan-Indigenous practice is making a larger assumption. In this territory, the ancestral territory of the Blackfoot, I want to be able to let you know there's actually very diverse groups of people here, the Tsuut'ina, the Stoney, Métis Nations, and various different Indigenous people who call Calgary home. So I want to encourage you to continue doing some incredible work, taking us into the future, and hoping someday that some of you will want to challenge assisting us in bringing our language and our culture to AI. So it's been an honor to be here with you, and I want to encourage you to have a great rest of your time here, and welcome to Siksikaitsitapi territory. Thank you. Maybe I'm supposed to continue dancing or something. Have a good day. Thanks.
What is it to be Albertan? For a moment, or a week, or a lifetime? Well, that's like asking, what is it to be free? To be Chinook winds in flight over mountain peaks, or northern lights dancing till new morning dawn. To be glacial waters gracefully raging, or unbridled horses charging. To be perfect for a brief moment. Or to last longer than all of time. Sure, great places will always capture you. But Alberta, she'll set you free.
Welcome to DevFest, everybody. Thank you all for being here. We are incredibly excited, as I mentioned, to have you join us here in Calgary. Many of you are from Calgary. Who's from Calgary here? Okay, who's not from Calgary? Okay, it's about 30%, which is incredible. So thank you so much for coming and traveling to Calgary to be here. We're incredibly proud to put this festival on here in Calgary. We're grateful for all of the speakers that have traveled from all over North America to be here with us. We have an incredible show lined up for you. We have, just going to call it a couple of notable people. We have the head of Google Developer Experts here, Ajit Marwani. Ajit, are you here? Just stand up for a second because I want everyone to say hi to you afterwards. Okay. I'm not sure if Iran is here. Iran, if you could stand up, the head of Google for Startups. She might be over there getting ready. Okay. Okay, no problem. And then, again, we have a number of Google Developer Experts. And so just so everyone gets to know who they are, if the Google Developer Experts could also stand up. Yeah, just take a second. We have more coming in during the day, so we're really excited about that. So say hi to these folks. In addition, this event doesn't happen on we didn't just wake up this morning and decide to hold a DevFest. Obviously, there's been months of planning and preparation. And so I wanted to call out all of the, number one, all of the volunteers. So if you're a volunteer and you have a volunteer badge, just stand up. Yeah, we got a few people here, a lot of them. And so, yeah, thank you to all of the volunteers. This year we have over 120 volunteers who are helping out with the festival. And again, it doesn't just happen because we woke up this morning and decided to do this. If you are a partner or a sponsor or one of the partners, if you could stand up and just everyone get to know you as well. All right, so we're super lucky to have these folks supporting us, and thank you all for being here. Okay, if you are just here to learn about Google technology, if you could stand up. Okay, so, and then everyone reach down and touch your toes. We're going to do a little yoga. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, the last thing I want you to do, actually, let's all stand up for a second. I want you to turn around. So one of the reasons to be here is, number one, to learn about the new technology. Number two is to network and meet some new people. So if you are standing next to or by someone you don't know, I want you to spend 30 seconds and just say hi to them. Introduce yourself, pull out your badge. I'm going to go off for 1 sec. I'll be back in a minute. Just give me a selfie. I'll catch up with you in a bit. Ron, if you could do a picture back, I'm going to get them to all hold up their signs. So if you could do a picture behind me into the crowd, that'd be great. Thank you. All right, folks. It seems like you are all having a good conversation, and I hate to cut it short, but I gave you a little bit longer than 30 seconds. We mentioned the Google developer experts that are here. We also have a total of 85 people involved in the content today. So if you're a speaker or you're running a booth or helping out with one of the activations, if you could stand up. So I just want to introduce those folks as well. Thank you all for being here. Yeah, very, very excited to have you all join us. So, obviously this year is the year of generative AI, and so we're going to be talking a lot about that. I think we have close to 25 sessions and different activations associated to that. And so I'm really excited to introduce and have us join. But before I do that, I just wanted to do a selfie with everybody. Is that okay? It's a little bit indulgent. If you could get your signs out, just pull them up. And then everyone stand up again one more time. And then before that, we're going to sit all back down and we're going to introduce the next set of speakers. Okay. If you have a big sign, you don't have to hold it way up because it'll be in front of people's faces. But yeah, okay, let's do this. Everyone's here? All right. Everyone say cheese. Cheese. Thank you for indulging me. I would say this is the year of Gemini, especially for Google. Gemini is absolutely massive. It is one of the world's, if not the world's largest large language model. How many people are familiar with ChatGPT? How many people know what the T in ChatGPT stands for? Transformer. How many people know where the idea of transformers came from? Yeah. Yeah, there was a nice white paper that Google released, and then that white paper went out into the world, and people started building things based on the concepts and the ideas there. And so the idea of transformers and the idea of generative AI has been around for some time, but Google has been doing it longer than just about anybody. And so we are really, really grateful, again, to be able to share some of this content. We're really excited for you to get hands-on. We have the Google Cloud Skills Boost. So if you don't have your laptop, bring it tomorrow. We'll get you sitting down and actually using the technology and building with it. We have a ton of content related to Gemini here today. And I'm really, really excited to introduce Tom Krywitsky and Amir Yanny from Google Cloud Canada. And they are going to kick us off. So fortunately, we're not going to do any clapping. I'm just going to go like this and put the mic down and walk off the stage.
Speakers go.
Hey Tom, have you tried the new feature that was recently released by Google? It's called Notebook LM. I think it's built on Gemini.
Indeed, I have. And we are going to talk about Notebook LM and Gemini and all kinds of other amazing AI-powered features in our cloud keynote today. So Notebook LM is a tool that's powered by Gemini and allows you to upload a huge amount of miscellaneous content and immediately start asking questions and recombining it in new ways. And I'm wondering, Amir, like, how are you using this amazing technology?
Actually, like, I have multiple use cases. So I was talking to one of my friends who work in the insurance industry, and I was telling him, have you heard about Notebook LM? It's based on Gemini. And he said, like, what is this? And I told him, like, just take something, like maybe a PDF file, and just upload it to Notebook LM and see what it does. And then he called me the next day, and he said, like, you know, this thing is so cool. And I said, like, why? He said, like, I am in the insurance industry, and we use very complex policies. And it's really hard to understand. Sometimes it's like, you know, when you're reading it, it's not hard to make sense out of it all. What he did is he uploaded the whole policy to Notebook LM, and it started reading it to him, which was so cool. You know, another example, I was telling my wife about it, and then the next day I went home, I found my kids actually, like, they uploaded some of their, like, study material, and Notebook LM is teaching them about it. And you know, just for fun, what we decided to do today is we uploaded our presentation to Notebook LM just for fun. Let's see how this looks.
Yeah, and we thought instead of us doing an introduction, why don't we put in the presentation and let some AI-generated hosts actually talk about what we're going to talk about. So let's play that.
Welcome to our deep dive, I guess you could call it, into the world of Gemini. Google's calling it the next generation of AI.
Right.
And we're going to find out why.
Yeah.
Our source material today is this presentation straight from the DEVFESTYYC 2024 Cloud Keynote.
Okay.
It was snappily titled, I'm in my Gemini Era.
All right.
Now, you probably know about generative AI, like ChatGPT.
Sure.
But get ready, because Gemini is pushing the boundaries even further.
Okay.
Imagine an AI that can understand and create not just text, but images, sound, video,
Wow.
even 3D models.
Yeah, that's impressive.
That's the potential we're talking about here.
It's interesting how Google isn't just presenting Gemini as another product,
Right.
but as this like fundamental shift in how we use technology.
Yeah.
Almost on the scale of like the internet or mobile devices. They believe AI, specifically Gemini, is that next big wave.
Okay,
So that was something that we built in just a couple of seconds. And I think it shows just some of the power of generative AI to take this complex, you know, slide presentation with notes and speaker notes and all these different things together and remix it in a new way that makes it kind of fun and accessible to use. And so I think, Amir, why don't you introduce yourself, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, you know, let me ask, like, who here in the audience tried Notebook LM by showing hands? Wow, cool. Hopefully, like, everybody tries it today or sometime. It's so cool. Okay, my name is Amir Yanny, and I am a customer engineer at Google Cloud, and I focus mainly on startups. Lots of great people like you here.
And my name is Tom Krywitsky, and I'm a customer engineer on the Google Cloud Enterprise team. So just give me 1 second to get the presentation slides up here. So that means I'm working with large enterprise customers, help them understand all the different ways that they can use generative AI within their organizations. And, you know, I think Notebook LM is an interesting example of how generative AI is really changing the way that we interact with technology. This was something that was just released a couple of months ago, and like a lot of Gen AI tools, you initially see it and you kind of go, okay, I can upload some information and I can make a cool podcast, but the more you use it, the more the use cases just keep building up and up. Like, as an example, I have some cousins who are in university, and they uploaded their textbooks and their class notes, and it'll generate a study guide for you, or it'll generate questions for your upcoming exam, and you just ask it. Or if it's a really dry topic, like they're in computing science and then working on algorithms, it'll make a whole podcast that you can just listen to when you're walking the dog. And this is just one example of how generative AI is changing everything to do with technology. And we really see that AI is the next big shift. We're calling this the Gemini era. If you think of other eras, like the internet launched a whole range of new businesses, brought all of these businesses online, connect them around the world, launched Google. And then mobile took all that computing power and expertise and brought it into our pockets and made it personal. And Amir, I was actually just thinking, we were talking about our kids this morning, and I have a 6-month-old baby at home. And having a 6-month-old baby is a little bit daunting, but we decided to, my girlfriend and I decided to mix it up and actually go on a trip because, 6 months old, he's pretty portable, kind of the last time he's going to be portable. And so we actually went to Tokyo, Japan, and not only that, but we landed in Shinjuku of Tokyo, which, for those of you who don't know, Shinjuku is the single busiest commuter train station in the entire world. And there's 4 million people who go through there every single day. And so we show up there with a stroller that we've never used before, with a baby, and we're in this station. And I'm saying, where do we go? This train station has 270 entrances and exits over 8 different levels. And we're standing in the middle. And the thing that I found remarkable about that was that it was completely fine because I had my phone and I had Google Maps. So I can put my hotel in and it would literally show me a 3D kind of model. I pan around and say, follow this hallway. There's an elevator tucked in the back corner. Take that up 3 floors, follow this hallway, and it'll get you right into your hotel. And it took all the stress of planning and getting around this intensely developed, busy country and just completely remove that. And I think AI, if you looked at Google Maps in 2005 and seen it on the web page with a couple of pins, you wouldn't have realized that potential. And generative AI has that same potential as the next big shift. So at Google, we're building Gen AI into all of our different products. Maps is one example, but there's also things like the Google Assistant where you can, it's actually pretty good now. You can have a freewheeling conversation and then at the end say, and also can you adjust the thermostat, and it'll do it. Or things like Google Search, where you have these helpful AI search overviews at the top that give you a direct question, or sorry, a direct answer to your question there. And so for us at Google Cloud, and especially I know in the startup space where you work, Amir, we're just saying that there's really never been a better time to be a developer, right? The same multimodal Gemini models that are powering the Notebook LM experience you just saw, all those Google features, they're exact same technologies available to you, right? You don't have to have these huge investments to use it. And we think that the Gemini Era is going to launch these powerful new experiences on these multimodal models. So I know our AI hosts give a little bit of a teaser about what we're going to talk about, but Amir, do you want to chat a bit about how we're going to break down Gemini and talk about how to use it?
Yeah, sure. So today we're going to talk to you about the Gemini models. And throughout today and tomorrow, you're going to see lots of sessions like getting into the details about it. We're going to talk about how we're building with Gemini. And towards the end, we want to share the conclusion in our mind, how this will succeed and how we'll keep building with it. So towards the end of the session here, we're going to talk about what's next and what is the most important factor in all this.
One thing I'm just going to highlight here, this is a 30, 40-minute keynote. There's so much that we could potentially cover, and actually whittling it down into 30 minutes is really difficult. So throughout the session, we're going to have these little drop-downs where you can call out deep dive sessions that'll go into that specific topic and help you connect with the experts and go deeper on some of those. So be watching for those.
Perfect. So let's start first by talking about the Gemini model. And if you think about it, I have to go, first of all, I want to take a step back and think, what is generative AI? I know there's lots of smart people here in the room, but by showing hands, who heard about generative AI? Is it new to anybody here, or everybody here knew about it? Okay, so thank you. So let's start first by a little bit of the basics. So if you want the model to create something, so to create content for you, this is at the very simple form, this is what we call generative AI. So we're generating something, let's say from scratch, something that is very new. If you go next. And when we say content, this can be on many different forms. If you can see here, there's text, code, images, speech, videos, etc. All this can be generated for you. So you can have a model that will create like if you're a coder, you want to like the model to create specific code for you. If you want to create images, if you want to create speech, all this can be done with the model, with Gemini. So let's start to break it down into multiple pieces. If we go next. So the way to think about it is into 3 main phases. The first one starts with something called a prompt. What is a prompt? Think about it as a very simple question you can put into the model, or you can ask the model. Very plain, simple question. I know there's lots of people here thinking, but like a prompt is like can be very complex, and we can use prompt in order to train the model or teach the model something. There is big science behind prompt that's called prompt engineering, and you're gonna learn about it throughout this week, like today and tomorrow. But at a very simple form, prompt, think about it as a question in plain English that you're asking the model. You're sending this to like some of the foundation models here, and the output can be many different things. It can be document summarization, and I'm sure like everybody tried this, so you send it like a big script, and it gives you a summary. Like today in my work, I use this on a daily basis. So I got the script from like maybe talking to a customer about something, and then I put it into Gemini, and Gemini will tell me the most important things, the next steps, things like that. You can do information extraction. You can do code generations, as I said. You can create marketing campaigns, and so on and so forth.
And I think it's worth just pointing out how different this was to how we used to do a lot of AI development. Like I worked in a consulting firm where we built AI models, and the amount of training data you had just to solve one narrow task was typically quite a lot. Like I worked specifically on natural language classifiers, and like trying to get let's say like sentiment analysis. I would have to get so many examples of good, neutral, bad. With something like a Gemini, those hours and hours of effort are replaced with, a prompt, and there's an art to that too, but saying like, you are an expert classifier of sentiment. Here's some examples, and because it has this rich understanding of the language and the tasks, in just a couple of sentences, I can get this AI model to do a pretty good job. And it's amazing to see this just leapfrog, where it's like, I can test that out in 30 seconds. So one thing that I just thought was interesting about the variety of tasks here is it's a weird paradigm that we're communicating with computers in language, and it's a bit of an art and a science. So there's actually a really good session that's coming up later tomorrow on this new type of human-computer interaction, and not just use it, we're used to interactions by using a mobile phone or a device, but actually how do you communicate with these models? How do you steer them and shape them to give you the good outputs? Because it is a bit of an art. Like anyone who's used like a Gemini knows, you putting in things like, if you're in a medical example, like you are an expert in reading, patient transcripts, it'll perform way better, and it's just so weird to think about. And so that'll be a really fun session there.
Sweet.
One thing I just want to comment on was, you may remember last year when we were meeting in this exact same room and talking about some of the possibilities with generative AI. And at the time, it was really this almost like a Wild West, where there were so many use cases, and we were just kind of still in the off phase of like, wait, you can talk to computers, you can just tell AI what to do with your voice, that we generated all these use cases and examples. And I think Google came up with like 1,700 use cases in the first couple of hours or weeks of Gemini being launched. But with all that experimentation, immediately developers started running into certain challenges. And I've got some examples here that I can talk through. One, of course, is these models are, for the most part, next token predictors. So they look at your prompt and they look at your multimodal content and they go, what logically makes sense to come next from here? And the thing that is funny about that is that what's likely to come next isn't necessarily what's factual or accurate. And that was something that we faced early on. There was a funny example of, I don't know, Amir, if you saw the Google search example, where if you say, hey, Google, how many rocks should I eat every day? And it would go, well, a healthy, balanced diet includes at least 2 pebbles, because it's primed to say, we're talking about eating rocks, I'm going to tell you about eating rocks. I don't know, what was something you saw there with the early, like, this is early days, last year we're trying to figure it out. What is something you saw?
Nothing come to mind right now, but like, keep going. Like, this is a very good example.
Yeah, I mean, the other one that I think is just the limited context. Like, these initial models could take something like a couple hundred words as input, right? So if you're trying to make it look at a huge amount of documents, like do something like Notebook LM, it just can't fit in the model. And so we had to build these complex retrieval architectures to find the right information to present to the model. And it just, you go from the model's so easy to use to like this, oh crap, I'm building this giant complicated system, and it just was tricky. And there were other things as well, like the early models were trained on, they're trained on internet content, but that includes everything on the internet. So maybe there's some Reddit stuck in there, maybe even worse, some Twitter stuck in there. And like if you're representing your brand, maybe you don't want it responding like your average Redditor, like just to say. And so these are challenges that we saw. But one of the things I want to say is just that AI changes quickly, right? We improve the models, figured out how people are using them, use new data sets. And so I wanted to do a fun little visual example here because, I mean, it's one thing to like see a benchmark. Like we went from 82% on the MMLU to 92%. Like what does that mean? No one really knows what that means. So what I did here instead is I took 3 revisions of one of our image generation models and I put the exact same prompt in. And this one is for an auto company. I'm trying to get it to make cars in a dealership lot. So I said, a used car lot on a sunny day featuring 3 vehicles, a sleek new electric sedan, a classic 1950s pickup truck, and a 1950s convertible, and a 1990s pickup truck. So just spend a minute staring at this, and I want everyone to give me like a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Like, is this a good picture? Boo. Yeah, exactly. I find it's like, I don't know, Amir, what you think, but the longer I look, the weirder it gets, right? Like, I mean, what do you think?
Doesn't make sense. Like, cars are on top of each other?
Yeah, there's cars on top of each other. It seems to have blended the 50s and the 90s so that every car looks like a Chevy Nova from the 70s. They're getting reflections of cars in spaces where there aren't any cars. And so it's just this kind of bizarre image. And again, it was like, wow, computers can make pictures? Okay. So let's jump forward 6 months. Same prompt. But this is Imagine 2, came out in December. Okay, what does everyone think? Is this better? Is it a good picture? Probably not, right? But you can see the cars are getting more defined. It's more of a used car lot, right? They're slowly getting better over time. And again...
Yeah, I see a mix of like old cars and new cars, right?
Yeah, we're starting to get some differentiation there. So let's jump ahead and look at the recent version, which came out in May of 2024. Okay, what do we think of this? Is it better? Is it good? It's good, right? We've got a very Tesla-ish looking car there on the left. There's clearly a car from the 50s in the middle. And then the 90s pickup truck, and it even threw in 2 90s pickup trucks, just for good measure. But this is something that's pretty close to something we could probably use in our application, right? And that was over the course of 1 year of improvements. And so the reason I show this is that it's not just the image models that have improved, all of them have improved, especially the Gemini models. And so the current models that we have available, and these actually just had a model revision come out a couple of months ago, the latest version. We have Gemini 1.5 Pro, which is our top tier leading model. It's very powerful. It can do reasoning across a huge amount of domains like coding and summarization. It's designed for really high quality. And then we have on the other side Gemini 1.5 Flash, which is all about speed and cost efficiency. So as a developer, if you're trying to build something into your application to get you results back quickly that has a pretty good level, and you're going to be feeding tons of information through, Gemini Flash is a great idea. And both of these models you'll see here are fully multimodal and have very large context windows. So Amir, I know you've done a lot of work with different multimodal use cases. Do you want to just give an overview of kind of what the context window means?
Yeah, sure. And before even this, like multimodal, do we know what multimodal is? You can feed it the model can take text, images, videos, audio. Okay, so this is multimodal. Understand lots of different content. And back to the content, the question about context. What is a context window? And again, Google is the leader here, and Gemini is the leader when it comes to big context window. I think we're the only model in the market that has up to now 2 million context window. And to explain what a context window here to everybody is, think about it. Like, let's say, for example, now me and Tom, like, we're having a conversation. And think for a sec, if Tom can just like remember the last 10 words I said, do you think we can have a meaningful conversation? It's not gonna happen. He has to understand like more information in order to have like this meaningful conversation. This is in simple words what a context window is. Again, you can feed the model data and it understand, it makes sense of what's new, what happened, so it understands the overall thing. So the bigger the context window, the more relevant information you can get out of the model.
Yeah, and just to show like a bit of example of what you can fit into one of these windows, this is what you could fit into 1 million tokens, but it's something like an hour of full-length video, 30,000 or so lines of code, or 700,000 words, or I think 11 hours of audio. And this slide's actually a little bit old because it's now a 2 million token window, but you know, with the ability to upload 2 hours of video into the model and in one shot, ask for questions, ask for chapters, ask for summaries, it opens up a huge number of different use cases. And on the enterprise side at Google, we're getting to see big companies who have these vast amounts of data. Let's say it's a regulatory document. Like, can you take this model and take a scan of some industrial asset, feed that video in, and compare it to what we were looking for in an inspection document? I don't know, but it turns out, yes, you can feed it all through, and it actually gives pretty decent results. And so just, you can, all these new use cases open with the ability to just jam so much content into the models. And so there's a really good session coming up on the nuances of working with multiple modalities all at once. Highly recommend that one because it's a bit of an art to figure out how to say like, oh, here's an image, here's a video. I want you to use the image to analyze the video and then make a document. And stringing it together can be pretty interesting. So make sure you check out that session. Now, Amir, I know like you on the startup side, you get to see so many different use cases. Do you want to talk about some of the ways that startups or different companies are getting impacted in different industries?
Yeah, absolutely. And these are just some industries that we're working with. At Startup, I talk to lots of customers in the healthcare industry, and that's why we picked this example for you guys about like healthcare. I'm going to talk about it in a little bit more details, but again, we have lots of customers who like media in the media entertainment, retail, manufacturing, and gaming. And all these customers come in with so much like very ambitious about what they can do with Gemini. And I picked one example, and I think if you go to the next slide.
Just to call out, this is Amir's session on startups and industry use cases for Gen AI. So I had to call that out, but it's
no, thank you. So this session is happening today. I think it's 2:45, and I'm going to talk a little bit more into details about how all this works. But this is an example that I picked for everybody here from the healthcare. Yesterday I was in Kananaskis, in a conference, a small conference where there was CEOs and CTOs, and there was lots of physicians specifically. And when I was talking to these physicians, what are you doing? What's the thing that was going to make you more agile, make you more efficient, improve the performance? And pretty much all of them think about how can we reduce the time we spend in writing like reports. Let's say, for example, I met with a patient, I spent like 10-15 minutes with him or with her, whatever. And after this, like I have to spend hours later in order to do all this documentation. So documentation and reporting was one of the big things in their mind. So I'm working now with like an amazing startup, and what they're doing is the physician comes into the room, they meet with the patient, and they record the whole session. Let's say the session takes about like 10 to 15 minutes time of like, this is the recording. What we're doing is we are feeding this audio file. It's an audio file. We're feeding it into Gemini, and Gemini is getting for us an output. The output can be in different forms. So there is the whole transcript. So Gemini is transcripting the whole thing, the whole conversation, and then it is summarizing it, and it's creating something called SOAP notes, more medical terms that's created into notes. And guess what? The most interesting part is Gemini is filling the forms for the doctor with all the requirements, and even with one click, they can create a prescription based on the conversation they had with the physician had with the customer, with the patient, I mean. All this is done in very, very short time. And when I was talking to one of these physicians yesterday, I said, like, based on this, like using Gemini, how much time this, like, again, you're getting back? And the physician said, she said, like, I can see 4 more patients because now I'm saving time on creating these reports. So this is evolving so fast, and it's really cool, one of the best use cases I've ever seen.
Yeah, and I mean, personally just love that example, because my longtime partner is actually a primary care doctor, and she has, in a given day, an 8-hour day, she has 16 30-minute slots. And patients are complicated. They come in and they're telling you all these different prescriptions and cases and updates, and so you don't have any time when you're in the room to like write these super detailed notes. And for her, what that means is she's working 4 days a week. She has to spend another at least 1 day, and sometimes 2, just to figure out what did we talk about, what comes next, what does the patient need, triaging, prioritizing. And so the ability for her to just be more in the moment with the patient, connect with them, talk, and not think about the administration on the background, and have your AI assistant be able to watch for the things we talked about and automatically put them in systems is just such an amazing use case. So I am eagerly looking forward whenever that gets adopted, because that would be like a game changer for her. So that's a bit about the Gemini models, the way you can bring content together, the latest updates. For the next remainder of our talk, I think we're just going to talk a bit about how do you actually get started in building with Gemini? Because like the way that the models got a lot better over the last year, the stack that's available to you to help integrate them, to develop other applications, has also improved a lot. And this won't be a super deep dive because, of course, there's much more in-depth hands-on sessions to let you learn that way, but we thought it'd be a pretty good introduction. So before we get into the Vertex AI platform, which is sort of the enterprise way of doing this, I just wanted to call out, if you haven't used Gemini before, maybe you haven't done multimodal prompting, AI Studio is a really great tool just to jump in. It is at aistudio.google.com, and it allows you to select whatever model you want, so image generation or the Gemini models. You can upload any data that you want, so maybe it's code or documents or videos, audio, mix it all together, and then quickly start using prompts with just an API key, so a super lightweight way of getting in. My favorite part of it is this prompt gallery, where if you have some kind of use case, it'll launch you into a real live prompt that already works and gives a really nice output. And so like in the, let's say the healthcare example, like I'm trying to get a conversation and have Gemini split it into 2 speakers and then turn that into JSON. Well, there's an example. It already exists. Push it there, try it out. It's a really great way to get started. Now, once you're building this into your actual applications, you're gonna wanna move to a more full AI platform, and that's where Vertex comes in. So Amir, do you want to give a bit of an overview of
first of all, you have to teach me how did you get the dark mode on the prompt gallery before?
Oh, I have dark mode for everything at Google.
Cool.
It's kind of funny. Like, I love it because, and this is maybe a weird story, but for whatever reason, my girlfriend doesn't use adaptive brightness on her iPhone, and so I'll be like in bed and I'll be like, oh, like is the baby stirring? And she'll open her phone and it's 1,000 suns like lighting up the entire room, and so I'm just like, hey. Everything from now on is going to be dark mode. Like Chrome, your apps, and that actually solved it. Like if everything's dark, so that's what I try to do. But yeah, so Vertex AI.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about this really briefly, and looking forward for everybody here to join the sessions, the detailed sessions today and tomorrow to talk in a little bit more details. But in order to simplify what we talked about, like how using Gemini, using the different model, like Tom talked about Gemini Pro 1.5, Flash, and many other models. There's also like new models coming. Like again, there's the 002 version of each and every model. In order to use this, we try to make it easy for you by something called the Vertex AI stack. And if you look at the stack, again, you're going to see multiple layers in here. It starts at the very bottom here with something called the hypercomputer. And what is the hypercomputer? Think about it as like the processing power that is like powering up all this. And I'm sure like most of us here heard about something called GPUs that are created by NVIDIA, and then there's also something called the TPUs, which is Google's technology. It's pretty much the same thing. So it's Tensor Processing Unit, and it's the same thing designed by Google, and you can use it, and specifically designed for generative AI.
Yeah, and there's some pretty cool hardware here on the screen. I think just showing how, at Google we're building AI into everything, and the fact that generative AI is so useful is driving about an order of magnitude, so a 10x increase in compute every year. Has anyone heard of Moore's Law? You might have heard that before. It's basically that the number of transistors, which is like an analog for how much compute a computer can produce, roughly doubles every 1.5 to 2 years, and it's kind of slowing down. But Gen AI is driving a 10x increase every 1 year. And so to keep up with that insatiable demand, we've been building cool stuff like these huge clusters of TPUs all connected together with liquid cooling and these specialized cores that are just for large language models, but they're what keep things fast, reliable, as you're building them more and more into your applications.
Yes, and like in my session, I'm going to talk a little bit about how can you get access to GPUs and TPUs through Google? What is the process looks like how you can put a request, and allocating capacity for anybody who is interested. The second layer of the Vertex AI stack, it was what we call the model garden. And think about a model garden is when Google thought about it, said for all great people here, we want to give you access not just to the foundational Google models, but we want to give you access also to other models. And in the model garden, you're going to see hundreds of other models that you can use. Again, you can see here the top here. Gemini, Palm 2, these are our Google models, and then there are other on the right you can see here, Llama 3, Anthropic, Claude, and many models that you can access. All what you need to do is just go to the model garden, and then you can read the documentation about the model that you want to use, and then one-click deploy. It's going to run this model for you in Vertex.
Yeah, and one thing that I find cool there is we've actually had some domain-specific models. You see MedLM. So in the healthcare example, this is a similar version to Gemini that's been trained more so on medical information. So it knows the terminology of healthcare. It knows the lingo, all the jargon, and it's very good at predicting in those use cases. And so there's other ones too, for security, but really good way to get some domain expertise when you're jumping into your models.
The layer top of this is what is the model builder. Again, think about it in a way okay, now I need to use the models. I need to do a little bit of tuning. I need a little bit to grounding, evaluate the model. This is where we give you access to more things that you can do with the model. So you're going to go to the model garden. You're going to see the model or read about the model that you want to use. Click deploy, and then with model builder, you can do more things. And one of the most famous things that we see our customers do is again, tuning, customization, so on and so forth.
Yeah, and I think one of the interesting areas now is there's actually features in there to automatically improve your prompts. So you come up with a benchmark of here's what a good example looks like. And in an automated way, you can actually have the Gen AI models write their own prompts and kind of test how good they are until you get one that's really good for your use case. And so there's other things like grounding, being able to say when you're making results in this model, make sure that it's coming from these source materials. One of the favorite things that actually is rolled out in Model Builder is this thing for Gemini called controlled generation. And I'm sure some of you may have struggled with this challenge, but Gen AI models output text, and as developers, we don't want just raw text. What do we want? We want JSON or XML or something that I can use, a structured language, right? And I remember last year trying to prompt these models and being you are an expert in constructing well-structured JSON payloads. Here's an example of what it looks like. And the model would be sweet, I got this. I'll analyze this video. Here's the JSON. And you'd run it and you'd be and I missed one single double quote. And so you go to load it in your application and it's parse error. Control generation completely removes all of that. You can specify the exact structure and schema that you want out of the model, and it will output that every time. And so prompt in, JSON out, it makes it so much easier to use in different applications. And it's, in my job, we've been building all these demos just because I know it's going to work. The model will output the exact format that I want every time. One other thing, Amir, do you want to talk a bit about grounding and just how that works?
Yes, and grounding is one of like, it's very important. Like again, like enterprise, whether you're enterprise or startup, is customers come in and say like, but the model is hallucinating. Like again, we're not getting, like this data is, we don't know if this data is right. Does it make sense? So what we added here is something called grounding. So you can verify the output of the model against, like with Google, you can like, okay, like use the grounding and Google is gonna like get back for you information. Where did this information came from? And you can verify it on the spot. So this is really cool, like, and it lowers hallucinations and things like that.
So the next piece on the stack that I'll actually talk about is something that's pretty cool, because it's one thing to use these generative AI models themselves, but of course, they can be useful throughout the entire end-to-end software development lifecycle process, whether it's chatting with Gemini about a new feature or coming up with mocks using an image generation model, to helping you actually write the actual code or help you write the actual prompt that's used within the model. And so within Google Cloud, Gemini has been built into all these different areas of the stack. And like one that I really love is, I know SQL fairly well. My title is data analytics at Google Cloud, so I should know. But it's hard to get some deep, complicated, nested query. And with Gemini, I can say, I'm trying to do this. I have these tables. I want this output, and it'll write the SQL for me. There's other things like if you're doing software development, Gemini Code Assist can look at the context of the application I'm trying to build, the framework I'm working in, and it can generate that code for me. There's something like Gemini for Security, which will parse through those really complicated security logs or look through all of your different files and find vulnerabilities and surface them up to you in a way that's prioritized and makes it easy to understand. And so not only can we build cool AI applications, but we can use AI to make that process just way faster. And I think there was a cool stat on the last Google earnings call that 30% of the code written at Google now is being generated automatically by this AI, kind of pair programming with Google software engineers. So there's going to be a really great session on Gemini Code Assist and some of these other features later today at the KPMG stage, and I highly recommend you jump into there because Code Assist is pretty cool. Like it can really increase your velocity as a developer.
Yeah, like with one of the things I remember, like I was working with a customer and they were using BigQuery. We created a data set, and I was like, again, I was trying to build a query to get some of the data in a specific format and a specific order, and I was just trying to write my query. And then I said, like, let me try Gemini. I just put it in Gemini. I said, like, can you build the query for me? So it does, like, I put like 1, this, 2, 3, and I just click submit. And Gemini inside BigQuery retrieved the exact query. I just applied it, and here we go. Very, very simple and straightforward. The last part of the stack here that we want to talk to you guys about is the agent builder. And think about it, like if you have like coding experience, or if you have low coding experience, or if you don't have any coding experience, this is what you use Agent Builder for. So it's very no code, low code, or if you're a coder, you can go there and you can start building like agents right away. You can build like search agents, you can build like recommendation agents, like very simple. And you can, like, again, with few clicks, you can build like even a chatbot that you can, like use your data. Like if you put your data in a specific data store, you can use a chatbot that look into the data you have in the data store and you can chat with this data. Very simple, quick clicks.
Yeah, so there's going to be a great session on building these agents and not just using the model directly, but having them break down the problem and do more nuanced, sophisticated tasks where they can almost do this more autonomously. That'll be later today. I highly recommend you check that one out. I'm going to be trying to sneak out and see if I can be that one there. But I know, Amir, you had another story from one of your startups where they used a bunch of these elements of the stack to launch a cool feature, and maybe talk a bit about how they use those pieces.
Yeah, so it's really cool. Like, so like this particular customer in the startup space, what they were doing is they were trying to build their new application based on AI. And what they're doing is they have, over the years, collected so much information and data from customers, and the idea of their application is like you go in and you create like an agent that you chat with. And let's say, for example, you're building a home or you're building something. You can ask with simple questions like, if I need to build this living room and you feed it with a specific picture, what the model is going to do is it's going to extract the information out of this picture, and it will do a search for you, and it will tell you, okay, like you can, like we see in this picture specific material, and this material you can get it from this specific vendor, and this is the best price point for this material. Can you imagine this? It's so cool, mind-blowing, and like lots of customers are using this and everybody love it. The fact that you can just give it a picture and extract the information using AI from this picture, just mind-blowing.
Yeah, it's super cool, and being able to like weave together some of these multimodal pieces, like taking the picture and then look at an invoice document and pull the information out and build this workflow out is a pretty cool example. And it'll use a bunch of those different pieces, like grounding on the actual documents the construction company has, making sure that the outputs are sourced from that. So it's a pretty good story on how the actual stack works. Now, one thing I do want to mention is that a lot of AI excitement, but I think we've all seen some of the risks that come with just having these powerful AI capabilities out in the world. You know, the cost of generating information or images is essentially zero at this point. And so we think that responsible AI is even more important now than ever. Google's been thinking about this for decades. We've been building it into our product. There's lots of tooling that you can access to make sure that the models are outputting things that are safe, including things like safety filters or a moderation API that says, hey, this question that they put into the AI system is maybe something we shouldn't do. Grounding, as we said, to make sure it's sourced. But one thing I just want to end on here is I think that more than ever, like responsible AI is really a feature. And a story that I've told before, but it's one I really love, is the Pixel phones and a lot of modern phones all use what's called computational photography. So the camera lens is not great, but what it'll do is take a bunch of pictures and then it uses a bunch of algorithms to make it look good. So if you're taking a selfie, it kind of knows I'm taking a picture of you and it'll make it look nice. And one of the things that the team that was working on that did is from the start, they said, well, most of the training data is of people with lighter skin, if you look at the internet. And what that means, if you're training an AI algorithm to make sure someone's face is lit in good conditions and that they look good in their selfie, it's just not going to perform better around the entire world or in countries where people tend to have a darker skin tone. And so they, from the start, said, let's build a really great, diverse data set of faces from people all around the earth, and we'll train on that. And the net result was that the camera works better for everyone, but also it's a product feature. It has the best looking selfies of anyone out there. And so it's great from a minimizing bias or having worse results for different groups, but it also meant that the Pixel phone was a leading phone in this space. And so I think with generative AI, as you're using in your applications, be thinking about these kinds of potential impacts or who might be using it as you're going through. And again, there's lots of tooling that we have within Vertex to help you do that. And there's a great session on this later tomorrow where they're going to talk about kind of that whole responsible AI framework. So we thought we'd end just a conclusion here with where we started. I mean, I think you saw Notebook LM, which is again a very lightweight application, but just shows how you can take all this content and remix it in seconds and make study guides, and a cool podcast that actually did the intros. And I mean, I don't know, I thought this talk went okay. Maybe we could let the AI host just do the whole thing next time, because they did generate a 30-minute conversation. So you can come listen to that if you want. But I think it shows a lot of the potential. But the thing that's interesting about the Gemini Era here, and that I really want to end on, is that we're just a couple of years into this. And the great ideas of that next great application, the thing that in 2 or 5 years is going to be that crazy Google Maps experience that I said of generative AI, doesn't probably exist yet, and it might only exist in one of your minds. And so I know, Amir, you had a pretty cool example that you were thinking about. Do you want to share that one?
Yeah, I was in Google Next early this year, and one guy came to me and he said, like, I patented this idea, and I want you to help me. And I said, like, what is the idea? He said, like, let's say, for example, there is a band, and there's like singers, lots of instruments. But let's say, for example, one of the guys did not show up. I want to use I want to use Gemini in order to put this instrument or this sound that was missing into the mix. And yeah, I think this is a really interesting idea. So we're working with him on this specific idea. So if there is an instrument sound that's missing from a song, GenAI can create it based on the song, based on multiple things that in the song. So there's so many great ideas out there. And I agree with you, Tom. The most important thing in this whole journey is you. With all these great ideas, we can build great things for the future.
Yeah, and I think I actually made a joke last year about having an AI-powered DJ during my keynote, where it could listen to the crowd, and if people are giving thumbs up, it'll trend in the direction of things they like. So I'm expecting to see that next year. We better get there.
Hopefully it works.
But yeah, that's one idea. Something like that is possible. I know you have lots of great ideas. So the Gemini era is really kicking off. There's so many great sessions you can come to today. The big question that we have is, what are you going to build next? With this crazy technology, there's so many possibilities. So with that, we'll leave it there. Thank you so much, everyone. Enjoy the Developer Festival. And you can come talk to Amir and I and all the other Googlers at our Innovation Hub. So thank you so much, and enjoy the festival.
Thank you.
Thank you both. Thanks, Tom and Amir. That was awesome. Thank you very much for joining us. And like they said, join them in the Innovation Hub on the second floor of Platform just for the rest of the festival. You guys have anything else?
No, we'll have demos, we'll have code samples. If you come with problems, we can help solve those as well. And it's just meant to be really kind of dynamic and engaging. Yeah. We can show you stuff. So, come. The best way to build with GenAI is just to get in and start trying it out. So happy to help out.
Absolutely, yeah. And if you have specific questions about any of the things we talked about in the Vertex AI stack, capacity, building with Gemini, they're our sessions throughout the day is going to have Q&A if you want to come with all the hard questions. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, guys. Well, that was great. What a great way to open the festival. Again, we are in our Gemini era. You all have your sticker packs. You have a Gemini Era sticker in there. So we're really happy to have Tom and Amir kick us off. So next steps. From here, you have a bunch of options. The entire space here at this stage, as well as that Platform, is going to be activated. So we have KPMG stage. We have Angelo Italiano from Strata Prime. He'll be talking about coding smarter, not harder. Okay, that's starting at 11:45. Sorry, 10:45 in about 10 minutes. So if you want to jump up and go to that, you can. We also have Sudeep Sidhu from Neo Financial. Neo Financial has just recently, they're just on a tear. They're absolutely incredible growth. #1 top growth on the KPMG growth charts this year. And Sudeep is here. He's head of engineering at Neo Financial. So he's going to be on this stage at 11 o'clock. So if you want to stick around for that, that would be great. What else do we have? This afternoon, of course, there's lunch starting at about 11:30. And you can, of course, take in any of the activations at KPMG, at the Platform. But yeah, feel free to tear out of here. And again, we'll get going on this stage at 11. If you want to catch Angelo at 10:45, just head on over. Thank you so much.
Hello, welcome to DevFest. This marks the 15th year of DevFest, and it's incredibly humbling to share this moment with all of you. DevFest is our community's annual celebration, the world's largest gathering for developers and tech leaders. Last year's event was truly remarkable, with over 650 conferences held in 500 cities across 115 countries. My name is Komal Sandhu, and I am the Global Program Lead for Google Developer Groups that happen to be the hosts of DevFest. There are over 1,000 GDGs across the globe, and each group is a hub of technical expertise where developers, future developers, and academics meet and intersect. These spaces break down barriers, foster collaboration, and inspire the kind of groundbreaking innovation and creativity that shapes our world. As Google, we collaborate with GDGs because, very simply, we want to build the best products that enable developers to build solutions and experiences that make the world better. If we want to build better products, then being deeply connected to our users is critical, and DevFest and GDGs help create that opportunity for us to not only share what we are working on, but also learn from your experiences and feedback. I had one of our organizers recently say to me, people come to DevFest because they are either trying to better themselves or better their organizations. And so I want to start by saying thank you. Thank you for being here and committing your time to learn and grow. This year is unlike any other. My brother, a seasoned software engineer, recently shared his perspective. He called this year the golden age for devs, where daily accomplishments surpass what used to take months. Yet, amidst this progress, there is a sense of unease. What does the future hold with AI? At Google, we're dedicated to unlocking your potential as problem solvers. Gemini, Google's AI, seamlessly integrates into your apps regardless of your preferred language or platform. AI is for everyone. It's time to think bigger than ever before. You can utilize Gemini to amplify your impact as a developer. With AI, we have the power to tackle some of the world's most pressing societal issues. Imagine using AI to optimize the distribution of food, water, and medicine to those in need, or creating adaptive learning platforms that personalize education at scale. From predicting natural disasters to accelerating drug discovery, the potential impact of your AI-powered solutions is immense. Of course, with great power comes great responsibility. We need to develop AI tools safely and responsibly. That's why we're committed to guiding the tech ecosystem and helping you use AI in ways that are secure, ethical, and beneficial to all. You're not alone in this journey. We're here to support you every step of the way. Let's embrace AI's potential and build a brighter future together. Now, we'll hear from Sean Rao, our AI security and privacy lead, to discuss the Secure AI Framework, SAFE, one of our most critical initiatives this year.
Thanks, Komal. Hi, I'm Sean Rao. I lead AI security and privacy efforts at Google. I work with engineers who build and secure Google's AI models, infrastructure, and products. I'm excited to speak with you today. Google has been working on AI for a very long time. And we've been keeping our AI safe and responsible for a long time as well. Our AI journey started with ML for spell check in 2001. Then a few years later came ML for Google Translate, TensorFlow for developers in 2015, and transformer models in 2017, all culminating in our Gemini models late last year. Now, along the way, we've always used the latest advancements in AI for security. Gmail spam filtering, for example, Drive malware protection, reCAPTCHA, detection response systems in our cloud, and many more. Today, we stand at a technological inflection point. Gen AI is exciting. It's enabling amazing new product experiences. And it's not just a technology or a product feature either. Gen AI is now becoming a developer platform, enabling developers to take advantage of the latest innovations in Gemini, for example, and build on top of it. At Google, we're meeting this transformative era with boldness and with responsibility. Our approach to responsible AI includes focus on security, privacy, and safety. Let's talk about security in particular. Like any new technology, while AI brings incredible potential, it also brings risks from bad actors looking to take advantage of it. So in 2023, we introduced the Secure AI Framework, a conceptual framework for securing AI systems. SAFE is designed by the security best practices that we built within Google through many years of work on AI and cybersecurity. We designed SAFE to help mitigate risk particular to AI systems, like stealing the model, data poisoning of the training data, and injecting malicious inputs through prompt injection. With SAFE, we're thinking across all of the layers of the AI stack: the data, the model, the infrastructure, and the application. We're working really hard to further secure AI for billions of users. Additionally, we're also sharing our insights with developers and practitioners to support a secure AI community for everyone. Now, we have a long history of developing industry frameworks to raise the security bar and reduce overall risk for our users. We've collaborated with others to launch the SALSA supply chain security framework, for example. And we had pioneering work on Beyond Corp that led to industry's zero trust security principles. Earlier this year, alongside our industry peers, we introduced the Coalition for Secure AI. We pulled this coalition together over the past year to support a collective industry investment in AI security and to advance responsible AI practices. We are looking forward to working with our industry peers over the coming months to help everyone in the world use AI that is built to be secure and responsible. AI's transformative effect on our products and its profound impact on our security and safety make 2024 an important year for AI developers. Keeping everyone safe at scale and helping our users, customers, and societal stakeholders stay secure is more complex, urgent, and important than ever before. We believe that Google's responsible AI approaches and the secure AI framework will help us be bold and responsible as we build the future together. Enjoy DevFest today. Keep supporting each other, keep collaborating, and finding ways to apply the knowledge gained today to benefit your community.
Thank you, Sean. Together, we have the potential to unlock incredible possibilities in a safe and responsible way. The future is going to look a lot like who builds it today. Welcome to DevFest.